Hello, you're welcome to the second segment and second section of today's class. Now, today we are going now in this section we're going to be looking at HTML5 tables, videos, and audio. Now, you must know very well that is information data any information you present on the internet has to be understandable for users to be able has to be clear for users to understand, and there are certain informations that will never be clear except they are presented in a table. So today we're going to be looking at how to create those kind of tables in HTML5. And we're also going to be looking at how to support both audio and video in HTML5. Honestly, did not want to miss this class. I still remain your formidable host, Okolo Chukwumibe Prince, the senior ICT instructor. Be happy, enjoy as we learn together. Okay, so we're going to be looking at HTML5 tables, formatting, sizes, and cell merging. Now, table structures. Now, what do tables do? Table structures complex data into rows and what? Columns. Yes, that's exactly what happens with a table. They structure complex data into rows and what? Columns. Let's say, for instance, now you want to do a comparison between two items. Probably you're a journalist or you're an artist. You are just a blogger, for instance, now, and probably you want to do a comparison between an item and another item. The best way to do that is actually to display this in a table. Same way also, various kind of data and information you want to present to the end user, the best way to make it understandable to the end user is through the use of what? Tables. That's why we say table structure complex data into rows and what? Columns. Even if you want to, probably you want to check the advantages and disadvantages of two items, you can also do that. Even also when you want to have a currency table, probably you are trying to compare Naira, you are trying to display the exchange rate of Naira. You are trying to display the exchange rate of Naira against a number of currencies, dollar, euro, pounds, that kind of a thing. You are trying to do that kind of a thing too. You also have to go through the same what? Process. Yeah. You also have to go through what? The same. You also have to make use of tables. You can have a table that shows a currency and the Naira sign, and then you compare each of them's what? You can display each of them's what? Exchange rate. So tables cannot be done without on websites or on the internet. So you must be able to represent your data in tables. That's why we in tables. That's why we say tables structure complex data into rows and columns. Tables help end users to get a sharp and smart picture of what you are of certain kind of information which you are trying to pass to them. Like we always say, communication is never communication until both parties understand each other. It's always defined that communication can be defined as the transmission of information between two individuals through a medium. And what is that medium? A language. Now, if both parties don't, if you are passing an information on the internet and the end user does not understand what you're saying, it's not a communication. That's an address, not a communication. Okay. Now let's continue. Now, what is the structure of a table? Now, for you to create a table in HTML5, you have to first open the table tag. The table tag is the tag that carries every of the embodiments and everything that is going to make up that table will stay in the table tag. So the table tag is a HTML element. This table tag was not existing until HTML3 when tables became supported. So the table tag actually comes and appears. The table tag must first be opened, and every other component of the table tag can now appear inside that particular table. Then we now have what we call the T head, which is the next aspect, which is the next thing on it. This is when you want to have a general heading on top of your table. Yes, a general heading on top of your table, you use the T head. And even in the T head is also where you can also provide rows whereby you have a heading for each column of your table. I'm going to demonstrate so you understand. Tables are usually understood with demonstration, but it's important that I share each and every one of these and what they do. We also have the T foot, and we have the T arrow, which is the table. The T foot is the row, talking about the footer of the table. T head is referring to the head of the table. T body is referring to the body of the table, while the T foot is referring to the footer of the table. That's the base of the table, what you want to display there and how you want to make use of it. Then when I have the T arrow is used to represent each row in a table. Okay, and then the TH is used to represent is the header cell, is used to represent the heading for each cell. That's for each header for each column in a table. And we have the table data. This is what that actually contains the data of that table. Now, sizing and column width controlled via CSS. Tables are controlled via CSS using width or max-width. On HTML, we use call group / call tags to control a table, to control the size of a table, to control the width of certain parts of a table. Call group is for, like, you want to is you should know the full meaning is calling group. So maybe you want to group a number of columns in a table together. You know, when we are in Excel and we can select a number of tables and do merge and center, you understand that kind of a thing, and then give them a general heading. That is exactly what happens in call group. And then call also operates in a similar way. Then we have cell merging. We say call span equal to n spans a cell across n columns. Now when you use call span, you use it to span a single cell across more than one column. So if you have a 5-column table, you can use call span to span a single cell across 2 of those columns. Row span also does the same thing as call span, but in this case, row span goes across a row. So you can span a single cell to go from, if you have 7 rows, you can have a single cell go from row as big as row 1 to row 3, just depending on how you want to do it. And you can see the format call span equal n, where n is the number of columns that it is going to cover. Row span equal n, where n is the number of rows that is going to be what? Covered. Okay, let's continue. Now, HTML5 media, audio and video. Supported formats, video. Now, when it comes to HTML5 multimedia, now HTML never at the beginning supported multimedia like videos and audios. Before, when you wanted to play videos and audios on websites, on a website that you built, you need to make use of special thing. You need to make use of special plugins like Adobe Flash, Microsoft Silverlight, Java applets for you to be able to play videos on your website. And this made websites to load heavy, which made websites heavy and made the user experience very bad. But with the help of HTML5 now, HTML now natively supports the use of audio and video on websites. Now, on websites, yes. And what are the supported 5 formats of videos that HTML supports? We have MP4 format. This is the most popular video format. If you want to support a video in HTML, in HTML5, the video we usually use MP4 format. In fact, I will advise you as your instructor. This is not a hard fast rule in HTML, but if you must use video in your web applications and integrate them into your website, please always use MP4 format. Yeah, always use MP4 format. It's the most generic format, and almost all videos are in MP4 formats. Yes. Then we have the WebM. You can also use the WebM format. You can in terms of video. So HTML5 supports in terms of video supports the MP4, the WebM, and the OGG formats. While in audio it supports MP3, WAV format, and OGG format. But for me personally, I would tell you, for video always use the MP4 format, and for audio always use the MP3 format. You must understand that HTML5 is a work in progress. It is not complete. It's a work in progress. And why I recommend you do this is because so you do not have issues whereby your code will break on certain browsers which already support HTML5, and probably just because the 5 format is not being properly supported. There are 5 formats that are supported on Mac that are not supported on Windows. So even if you coded in HTML, you coded in CSS or whatever, just because you coded does not mean, because if that 5 format is not supported in an operating system, it is not going to work. It's not going to work. So you must take note of that. Now, what is the syntax of the audio element? We say audio, this is the syntax. You open the audio tag and you have the attribute controls. What does controls do? Controls displays the volume up button and volume down button. It displays the pause button, and it displays the seek, which allows the user to move from point A to point B in your audio file when they are playing it. And then we have the preload equal to auto, means that as soon as the website loads, that this particular sound should start playing. The user does not have to take a manual action first before it starts. When you do that, you now open the tab called the source tag. This is where you actually reference the particular audio that you are, and you must make sure that this audio is stored in the same folder. Like we're going to practice that as your HTML document. That is the only way your HTML document will be able to see the audio file. So you say source src is equal to audio.mp3. Then type is equal to audio/mpeg. Of course, this type is not compulsory, but of course, it's important that you put it. Just put it for putting sake, but it's actually not compulsory. But put it if you can. Audio/mpeg. That's the way it works. And when you do that, that's because it's an MP3 format audio. But sometimes, if you're not sure of the format, just leave it. Don't add the type attribute. Just do it. And then this non-supported browser test, you can see whatever you write in between this source is exactly what your browser is going to display to the is what when a user enters with an older browser, like maybe Internet Explorer. We all know that Internet Explorer is probably the only olden days browser that we still know is existing till today. So Internet Explorer, if they enter with those kind of browsers, old model browser like Internet Explorer, Netscape Navigator, or older versions, old versions of Google Chrome or Firefox and the rest of them, it's going to display to them not supported. You are going to display to them a particular file, a particular text, telling them that their browser does not support the playing of this particular audio. And of course, you come over here and close the audio tag. Okay. And then we have the video element syntax. Of course, the video element is very similar to the audio element. You have video width equal to 100%. Yeah, it's always good that you use this percentage, because what the width equal to 100% is going to do for you is that the width equal to 100% is going to make sure what width equal to 100% will do is that any div where you kept that video is going to take the complete width of that particular div. Any section, article, or that you kept that video in, it is going to take the complete width of that article. If you say 50%, the video will only take 50% of that particular place of the parent element. If you say 40%, it will only take 40%. So it all depends on you. Then controls, of course, controls is still for the same purpose, to provide you with controls and ability to manipulate the video or audio player inside the video or audio player inside the browser. Then you now have poster. This poster is to provide a thumbnail for your video. Like now, when you look at if for instance you look at our YouTube channel, this is what the poster does. Okay, that poster, when you go to our YouTube channel now, our YouTube channel is at Prince Will Tech Mastery. If you enter our YouTube channel, let me just go there straight. I wanted to just follow, let me go there straight. That will be the easier way. This our YouTube channel at Prince Will Tech Mastery. At Prince Will Tech Mastery. Okay. Now, when you enter our YouTube channel, you can see something. You can see this flyer that is on top each. Before you play a video, you can see this thing that attracts your attention. This our flyer that we put there. Yes, that is exactly what we mean. That's exactly what we mean by that. That's exactly what we mean by when we say the poster. The poster is simply referring to this kind of thing, trying to say what will the user see that will draw the user's attention that okay, there is something here they can play. So this will appear and the user can press the play button and it will play automatically. And of course, you still use the same source tag, but you must make sure that this video is in the same location as your HTML document before you can play it. And of course, type equal to, in the case of video, type equal to video/mp4, and then you close the video tag. Okay, don't worry, when we practicalize this shortly, you're going to understand how it really works. But you must understand that, and what you need to know now is that with the help of HTML5, there is no need for plugins like Adobe Flash, Microsoft Silverlight, and the rest of all that whenever you want to build, whenever you want to do so, whenever you want to play video and audio. They are now natively supported by the HTML5 engine in all modern browsers. Okay, yeah. Now, when I say multimedia accessibility and graceful degradation, accessibility including track elements for subtitles, captions, web VTT formats, and standard area attributes. Accessibility means when you include track elements, like for instance, it's a video, it's a movie you are playing, and you want to show the subtitles. I hope you know that subtitles are not part of the movie. They are a separate entity. They are just attached to the movie and they play along with the movie. So when you want to, if it is a movie you are trying to play on your website, with the help of the track element, you can use subtitles. You can load a subtitle into the track element. You can load a subtitle into the track element that will play along with the movie. Probably if the movie is in Igbo language and you want to interpret to the user in English, that's it. Or therefore, not supporting browser, we say always place a text fallback inside the media tags. Your browser does not support those HTML5 video. or direct download links. You must always try to provide for this kind of thing. When you hear in programming, anytime you hear graceful degradation, we're saying how do you handle applications, older softwares, older applications that may not have upgraded to the level of handling this particular technology that you are bringing in. That's what we call graceful degradation. What action do you take? So whenever you hear that in programming, we're talking about what action do you take when you come across devices that are not up to the standard or up to the level of devices that or applications that are not yet capable of using it. So now let's quickly look at this. Let's do this classwork quickly and see how it works. Now, of course, we already have a working directory. We have a CSS, so I'm going to basically take out everything here. I'm going to copy this whole complete CSS file. Okay, I'm going to copy it into this CSS. I will delete this here and I'll paste this, and then I'm going to also delete everything in this HTML side. So rather than us having to create a new folder and all of that, we're going to just simply follow along. And so we'll copy this code for the lecture and we paste it here. Okay, so before we so now we're going to be looking at now this exactly what. So first, for make sure you are going to have to make sure you come here and change. Our manuals are always attached to all our classes, to every video. We'll always attach a link for you to download the manual so you can get this exact code that we are running here in our manual. We cannot be doing live coding online because it's going to take too much time and so many of you will get tired of it. So this is the reason why we prepare the code beforehand, teach you theoretically everything you need to know so you can do it on your own, paste it, and then come back to explain the code for you inside the code. Because why? When we explain the code for you inside, you understand what is happening. You can follow that pattern and craft your own code. And also you can also take our manual as a guide to craft your very own code. And so this is the reason why we do it this way, because why? We want you to learn and we understand how the brain operates, and because of that we want you to learn. And so we want to ensure that learning is very convenient and very comfortable for each and everyone. And most importantly for us, we want to satisfy everyone that comes to this channel. Okay, so css/style.css. okay, so once we have this set, okay, that's all. I don't need to explain what is happening from the beginning to this head tag anymore. But then let's just see what we have exactly. If you come back here, let's load. You can see this is exactly what we have. So let me put a real video. Do I have any video that I can manage? What video can I manage here? I don't have any video I can put here. Let's look for a video, just any short clip. Let me just search YouTube for motion videos. I just named my video 1, so that I just downloaded the video and named it 1, so it will be easy for me to remember. Okay, that's just what I did. I made it 1, I named it 1, and then I can change the name of the video here. The video is also in MP4 format, so I'll call it 1.mp4. Let's look for a poster. We can just get any image. Let me get an image from my system, anywhere in my system, pictures. Okay, this is a nice picture. Land, copy. Remember, I have a folder already that I created already in my XAMPP for this project called IMG. So I want to put that folder to good use now. Okay, come here and IMGs. I'll paste it here. Land, and this is a JPG image. So if I come here, this poster, I'm going to do this poster like this. Let us say I'll say the poster is located in imgs/land.jpg. Okay, so we just do that quickly. Okay, the whole goal of doing this is so that we can actually have everything working as they're supposed to. I'm coming back to explain this code, but let us see the output of what we just did right now. Okay, let's just see the output of what we just did right now. Now, perfect. You can see this is exactly how it works. You see that? You see this is the poster. Yeah. So you can see this the table. So now let's look at how did this table come to reality. We have to start surveying this code one after the other. Number one, I don't need to, like I said, we don't need to talk about the header, the head section anymore. We should all understand what the head section does and what each and every one of these tags are already doing here already. So we created body, we open the body tag and we have a div class equal to what? Container. We could have used main, but we just use container in this case. And then when I say we created a heading weekly lecture schedule, which you can see over here, weekly lecture schedule. Okay. Now when we have that, when I come, we now created table. Now you open the table tag. Now you see the table tag is what that includes everything about the table in it. You can see that here, right? The table tag includes everything about the table in it. Then we now have the T head. The T head has to be open inside the table tag. Now when you open the T head, you open a section saying this is going to be the heading, where the heading of the various columns of this table is going to be located. Now you have to create a row, because those columns are, the heading of those columns are also going to carry a row. So you open a row here, you are going to now open a row, you are going to open T arrow here and close T arrow, and then give each of the head columns a heading. You see we have day, time, topic, as you can see in our code here. When you look over here, you can see we have a day, time, and topic, what we're going to be studying in each one. Okay, then we close the T head. The T head is closed immediately after you are done with the headings for the columns. And then we'll scroll down to the T body. Okay, this is the T body, and in the T body you open T arrow. You must know, of course, you have 3 rows, 3 columns already here, so you must also have your T arrow has to be only your TD for each T arrow. The table data has to be only 3, so that each one will go to where they're supposed to go to. So you can see here row span equal to Friday, and if you look at this Friday that we wrote here, you can see it occupies a bigger space than here. So row span equal to 2, you can see Friday occupies a bigger space. Then we have TD 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Okay, this one just contains its own normal space. There is no spanning, there's no call span, there's no row span of any kind. It just carries its exact normal space. You don't have HTML, you don't have TD again, which is for the next column, HTML5 forms and what layout. It goes in there. Then we now come here also, and we now have we have the second set of values again. We have now, you see the Friday that we are talking about now. You see this Friday, we did it as a row span. It's 2 row spans because we don't want to have to create another. We don't need to create this again for here. We are saying that both the table is already telling us that both of these take place on Fridays. Are you getting me? It's telling us that both classes take place on what? On Friday. But sometimes, call span and row span can get your code very confusing to even you yourself sometimes. So I sometimes recommend for you, it's better you don't use them at all. Just do Friday, repeat yourself. It's not that hard, but if you know you can manage it properly, it's always very beautiful to be able to merge rows and columns that way. And of course, you can see call span. This is where we use call span to go through all, or that's like the footer, and we say lunch break / lab what setup, and you say 3. So when we say call span equal to 3, it's going to span through the whole of the table. And most important, you close the T body, and finally you close the table. Now we have div class equal to media box. We now come here, video controls, poster is equal to imgs/land.jpg. Remember that I downloaded this land.jpg picture from the internet and placed it inside the imgs folder in my website folder. And then you can see, if you open here, if you open your XAMPP in our folder structure, you can see I copy the video directly to where the HTML. This is our index.html. Our video is directly in the same folder as the index.html 1.mp4. They are both in the same folder. So I didn't need to say video/1.mp4. You could do that, but that's if I had the videos folder and this video was inside there. That is how I access it. And then the poster, I put it inside here, land.jpg. It's inside my imgs file because I already created a folder dedicated to storing my images. It makes no sense me not making use of that particular folder. So take note of that, okay? And you can see the way this is done. In our case here, we support it in our browser, but for a browser that doesn't support it, we already wrote in between the video tag, your browser does not support HTML5 video content, and then we give the user a link. Of course, I'm going to put it, let me make this link work. We gave the user a link that you can directly download the video to their own user. The users, you can't afford to have your users, not playing that video. Maybe a walkthrough video or something. You can't afford that to make use of this. So this is exactly how it works here, and this is the end result of all we have done. Like now you can see our table here. We already understand how we achieve this table. Most of all these designs you see are CSS, but our focus in today's class is not on CSS. Our focus in today's class, you can see all the code here for the CSS, but in the manual, all the CSS codes, HTML code, everything is already inside the manual. You just run them and you can follow that same pattern to create your own codes. Yeah. And then when you scroll down, you can see this is it. And then I can now go ahead. So we can actually play. Click play for and play our video. This video we downloaded. You can see actually play and you can make sure you can explain right now our website. How do you use Adobe Flash and like now before the advent of HTML5 it wasn't possible for you to play anything like this directly to your browser without external plugins. You must make use of external plugins for you to do anything initially. But now, with the help of HTML5, HTML5 does not just make your life easier, make coding easier. It also makes coding much more enjoyable. Okay, and this is why it has been chosen as a standard. But I want you to know that HTML5 is still a work in progress, and that's why some of the principles I told you to apply as a general principle in programming, please apply them so that when you are not available there, your end users can still be able to manipulate their software or have other developers work on that software. Okay, yeah, this brings us to the end of the second section of today's class. This brings us to the end. I'm actually very happy that we were able to keep this below 30 minutes. One of the things we are trying to achieve is to be able to get all our we're trying to be able to ensure that all our videos, that none of our lecture videos, except for these ongoing courses, exceed 30 minutes or at most 45 minutes, so that we don't get your brain to be too fatigued to actually understand what we are saying. So I believe you enjoyed this class. I want you to know that the manual to every of our classes is attached to every lecture. We attach the manual to every class in all our lectures. And when we post the video online, you can go there, you can still access the manual. And for those of you that are special students whom we usually send these things to manually, those students also, we also provide with the manuals are also provided for you. The manuals are also provided for you together with the video. That way you can find it easy to follow. You can follow the video, see what we're doing in the video, and also follow the manual. Till we meet again, and in the next section, which is going to start, we're going to be looking at JavaScript, the basics of JavaScript, okay, to understand. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript needs you to just pick it, left, right, and center. They are very large languages that you cannot get. There is no way you can get them in even a 5 months lecture. You can't even cover the whole HTML tags. There are thousands upon thousands of HTML tags. So one of the things we try to do is to categorize them and help you get the most important information and get straight down to business. Start building real websites. As you are working And as you are progressing, we believe that you will learn more and you will do better. So the next class, have a lovely day. I still remain your formidable host, Okolo Chukwumere Prince, the senior ICT instructor. Thank you.